Hi everyone, I'm Stan Mallow. Welcome to Paranormal Yacker. My guest on today's show, who I'll be yakking with, is dowsing expert Alicia Aratyn. We'll discuss the history of dowsing, various types of dowsing tools, and what they are used for. Alicia will also be giving a dowsing demonstration. Alicia Aratyn, welcome to Paranormal Yacker.
Thank you, Stan, for having me.
Now, Alicia, you are the founder and owner of the Alicia Centre of Well-Being, a past vice president of the Canadian Society of Dowsers, and a member lecturer and teacher for the American Society of Dowsing. Do you recall the first time you got interested in dowsing, and what were the circumstances that sparked that interest?
Well, it's very hard to say when it started because in my country of birth, which is Poland, dowsing was and is keep being very important part kind of many people like. So it's not that everyone dows, but very many people dows, and nobody will look at you as you are from out of this world if you will pull the pendulum and douse for something in the store. And from this point of view, I don't really remember when it started, but what I can say is that at that time, when I was very young, there was not many courses because spirituality was not very hot topic at that time. Therefore, I don't remember how I was introduced to this gentleman who was probably about 40 years older than me, and he was making pendulums, and it was fascinating to me. I knew how to dowse at that time, but I didn't know much about it. So my all spare time, or majority of my spare time, I would just go to him and observe, and he would tell me how to build this pendulum, why, what energy it works, and how to put them together, and so on. And that's how I learned not only how to dowse properly, but also how to build pendulums. So when I came here to Canada, fast forwarding to today's life, I can check and I understand why specific pendulums are built this way and how they're supposed to work.
How far back in history can dowsing be traced? Do you know what people or peoples used it first, how it came about, and what purpose or purposes did they use it for?
Yes, so we can say that the first written materials comes from China from about 4,000 years ago, when one of the emperors is portrayed in the drawing, but he's portrayed with the stick, which reminds us of today's wire rod, which means it goes like this. It's a branch of the tree, and he holds it with both hands. Now, in China, it was called Geomancy, or Feng Shui as we know it today, and it was more directed into environmental stuff, which means how to organize, where to place your house, and so on. So that's why they were using dowsing rods more than pendulums. All right. In Europe, it is said, when I was studying it, that the very first dowser on the world was Moses, because he was walking with a stick, and when he was taking his people through the desert, he could find the water with his stick. So he had a staff, and he kind of punched the ground, and then water came up. From ancient Egypt, we know that staffs, because many god and goddesses of ancient Egypt are portrayed with the staff, they have two prongs at the bottom. But when you look at them, those two prongs are really to distinguish between the type of energies, because there can be an energy which is positively charged and negatively charged. It's about two energies, male and female. So we can say that he knew, because he felt where the water is, and he pushed it, and then the water emerged. Those are the first thing. But also in Greek mythology, you have the myth of Pythia, and Pythia was a title for a woman who were visionary. They could see. They are called, here on this continent, they are called the prophet of death. Philadelphia, I think. And what they were doing is they were sitting in the cave and talking and answering the questions. And people will come from all over the place to have their questions, their problems solved, or their question answered. Now, we know from the pictures on the walls of the cave is that Pythia would sit on high stool and have some object suspended over the big vase with the symbols at the edge of it, and this object would point in some symbols which either she read or she had a vision based on it. Because now when geologists really explored those caves, they found out that there is a fault, there is a breakage in the floor, and some kind of vaporizer, the gas, are coming out of it, and therefore they presume that that the Pythias who were sitting there, she would inhale this, which altered her state, and she also could have a better vision because of the altered state. But this way or the other, she was using, because there was always one Pythia, she was using the pendulum, what we would say today, to enhance her readings and finding her answers. So those are the olders, really. And of course, we have pendulums which were brought and found in the Great Pyramid of Giza.
As you know, Alicia, as I know, as I'm sure every paranormal yacker viewer knows, we are in challenging times today. The world is not in a good place. How can people use dowsing in dealing with these challenges in their everyday lives?
Every change on the world starts with the individual. So before we will start to change the world, because people love to say, I would like to change the world. All right, so what about you? Because we vibrate the energy. We, as Buddha said, I think, be the change you want to see. But what it is that first of all, we need to look after ourselves. And we look after ourselves in two ways. First, we clear ourselves. And it is crucial to any further progress in our spiritual or human development. So when we clear ourselves, then we can clear our home, and we can clear our community, and we can clear the city and the country and the whole world. But we always start with ourselves. As Bruce Lee said at some point, he said that the words have power and they work like a spell. Every word is a spell, and that's why writing them is called spelling. So remember about this, because whatever we say has potential to happen. So you can simply hold your pendulum and say, please remove from me or from my energy field all non-beneficial energies, or please remove from me, or please remove all non-beneficial energies from my energy field. And it starts to go counterclockwise because it follows the vortexes of the earth, which means one vortex is moving to the left, it's left-turned vortex, which creates a suction, which removes from you everything what is not beneficial. Now, when the pendulum stops, now I will say, please supply me with the frequency of gold to the highest possible level for my highest good and the good for all. And then, as you could see, the pendulum switched into the clockwise direction, not because it's yes or no direction, but because the vortex which rotates to the right clockwise vortex is the vortex which supplies. And then when it stops, the basic idea is this: you remove something and you create a void in your energy field because something was taken away. People often ask me, how how often should I do it? My rule is, the rule in my life is, because I'm an engineer, I like still to think this way. So I always say to people, simplify the complex. So do it whenever it comes to your mind. It's a process. So you follow your intention, and then you are more and more in agreement, in compatibility with the energies which come to you, and you become more and more sensitive, and then you will either see or feel.
You are knowledgeable in many areas, sacred geometry being one of them, and you have connected sacred geometry to dowsing. How are they connected? How does sacred geometry influence dowsing?
Well, sacred geometry came to dowsing only in 1930s, when French scientists came to Egypt after Howard Carter's discovery of Tutankhamun tomb, and they started to research artifacts, and they found out that they have extreme power, in a sense that they vibrate the energy. One of the pendulum found in Great Pyramid was this, and this is called Isis, and it was exactly found like that. So scientists first didn't know what it is. Of course, dowsing existed, but not like this. So they researched this, and then they found another two pendulums, those three are called Egyptian pendulums. The other ones are called Osiris and Karnak. One of them was built over there based on what they learned, and this is Osiris, and Karnak was also found as a pendulum used by Egyptians in ancient Egypt. And they found out that there are specific rules which were known in ancient Egypt. Then, because of the history disturbances and sacred societies and knowledge not being spread, but also dark ages and so on, so it all disappeared from human eyes. The only place when it still existed was architecture, when golden proportion was known. That was all what we knew about gold, frequency of gold or vibration of gold. And then it emerged now from 1930s forward. And then we know, based on those, how to build the tools which radiate on sacred geometry. For example, in this pendulum, there are three, the most powerful shapes of ancient Egypt, sacred geometry shapes. So if you will look at the shadow of it, because shadow is two-dimensional version of three-dimensional object. So you will see here that that's the circle, those are hands kind of, and this part are the leg of the shape known to us as Ankh. Then this shape, those four amplifiers on the main core kind of axis, is called jade. And jade it's very, very important shape in ancient Egypt. We don't have time to talk about it, but they had a special ceremony which was called raising the jade in order to energetically clear the energy. By the way, the concept of jade until today is used in car batteries. So here is a jade. So energy which was created by Ankh was energized, or is until today in pendulum, energized by jade. This is called jade pillar, to be exact. And both of them are connected by the third, which is a core of all this, goes along the axis, which is called was. Was is a staff, and we mentioned about the Moses having staff, and the staff is simply a cane. When you will look at the drawing from ancient Egypt, the papyrus and so on, you will see that majority of gods are portrayed with the staff in their head, because it's a symbol of power. So here you have the staff connecting those two. This type of pendulums we called self-clearing. Therapeutic pendulums are always self-clearing. So that's here, for example, on this, you will have the Atlantis symbol of protection, which is carved on the top of this pendulum, which was found in King's Valley in Luxor, actually in King's Valley in Egypt, in a shape of the ring. So this is Atlantis ring. So you have those shapes incorporated this way that people do not know and they don't have to know. But for us, it's important. And from time to time, I randomly take a pendulum, and we do also thanks to you, of course, we do the energy reading, which means aura photo, either on pendulums, or the people after using this. So before and after, to see how it influences the human aura. Because I can talk until tomorrow about how fantastic they are, but only when I can show people the pictures. This is me before and this is me after. Then people really see the energy. Now, every pendulum, therapeutic pendulum, has an element of it. So if you will look at this pendulum, which is called Isis, as I said, it's good. It's known for removing pain abilities. Then you see here the rings of Isis inside. Those are amplifiers. The energy is created by this, but it's amplified by those 3 rings of Isis. So those are indispensable for us shapes, and we are should be so grateful that this knowledge emerged again, and we can be wiser and better because of that. And that's this era when we want to know, not only believe.
Remote dowsing is another area you are quite knowledgeable about. For what purpose or purposes would someone use remote dowsing?
Well, remote dowsing is, by the definition, to affect something what is farther away. Father Mermet, who developed first remote dowsing pendulums or witness chamber pendulum, which is called Mermet to his memory. It is Father Mermet who developed the first pendulum, what we call witness chamber, which means the compartment inside the pendulum to put something in, which is called Mermet in his memory. Always was telling us that every dowsing is dowsing, which means it distance dowsing. That's why in Europe it is called teleradiesthesia, which means affecting on distance. Because either the distance is small, like here, or large, like the past, creating a future. Doesn't matter how big distance it is, practically every dowsing is a remote dowsing. It's a matter of how big the distance is. So remote dowsing is, for example, used when you want to find a location of the house. If you would buy a piece of land and you want to know where water flows or how to position your house, then you would take a pendulum. The best pendulum for it is called teleradiesthetic, which means it has 7 grooves on it, and it can read frequency by frequency the land or the area and tell you what qualities of energy are there. But you would scan the map of the area which you buy, basically going like this, scanning, to find out where it's supposed to be located. What is the best from health point of view location for my house on this? And then, of course, based on the rule, never presume, always check. When we narrow down the area, we go there and then we dowse exactly where it's supposed to be in nature over there. So that's one application of remote dowsing. But very much interesting part of remote dowsing is also influencing people by substances. And that's what Father Mermet was doing. And that's what his pendulum is made of. So for example, if my client would like your mother, father, family member have a problem, let's say with kidney, you can find out either through the medication they use or supplements they use, or by your own knowledge, what can be what substance we can do to improve the health state of this organ. We can put it inside the pendulum and have, for example, a picture of this person, hold it over the picture and say with the frequency of whatever it is, balance, heal and balance, let's say kidney, left kidney, right kidney, it depends, but you go by one and then you affect, because each of them can be on different levels. So that's very important and extremely interesting part about working with substances, not only with energy. That's why this type of pendulums or therapeutic pendulums, either gold one or white one, we call general healing, which means you can approach from the energetic point of view, you can approach any condition. Those which work with substances are dedicated, because of the substance inside, are dedicated to solving just one problem, the problem on hands, which we want to solve. So that's the remote dowsing, and it's fascinating, really. Very much underestimated right now, unfortunately.
Could you please give us a demonstration to our viewers of how one dowses?
So the first thing would be, and I know that many pendulums are made on with chains. We don't make them in chains because chain, from sacred geometry point of view, is made from the element, and every element of the chain radiates something. So if they radiate something, then this energy ends up and it influences the reading. So in Europe, traditionally, pendulums were always made on black string, because black is an absence of color and the string is 100% cotton. So the energy flows back and forth very easily and straight. All right. On our pendulums, you also have something what we call slider, which means it is a thermal tape which can be moved back and forth to mark your wavelength. So the first thing we do is we find our wavelength, which means you will hold the pendulum as close to the body of pendulum as possible. In your mind, you have a request: show me my wavelength, show me my wavelength. And of course, I will say it out loud, but you can repeat it in your mind. So show me my wavelength, and as you will see, I will walk the string, which means I will not drop it. I will just move my fingers, and in my mind there is this question: show me my wavelength, show me my wavelength, show me my wavelength. And when it starts to move, even with very small movement, it means it hears you. It says, yeah, I hear you now, I hear you now. Then you hold it here and bring the slider down to mark your wavelength, because the purpose of dowsing is really to talk to yourself. Because even if you talk to universe, you talk through yourself. The energy is passed through your body and ends up here. In order to hear you, you have to be tuned like a radio to specific station. Your mind has to be tuned in with the subtle bodies of energy, which will allow you to hear you from inside. All right. So when I'm on my wavelength, now I can, first thing is to say, show me yes. It reacts very fast to me because I have it imprinted kind of in my whole energy field. But first you say, show me yes, show me yes, show me yes. Show me the yes direction. Do not allow it, do not allow your brain to run the show, and you allow it by following the line. So I see on the piece of paper that this is yes, and you say, so this is yes, show me yes. That is when your brain see this and will decide how to move the energy for yes. But what will happen if your brain does not know the direction it's supposed to move the pendulum? Now it's hectic movement and people say my pendulum is lying or does not give me the answer. But when you will say show me, it's like you would say to your energy system, all right, I'm fine with everything, just show me how you would like to communicate with me. So show me the yes direction. And every time when you say yes, it's like you would drop the piece of energy down the line to build the energy and build the momentum when pendulum will start to move. So if I will say show me yes, show me yes, show me yes, show me yes, it starts to move. For me, it's clockwise. And then you say thank you. You don't catch it, it doesn't go anywhere. You just say thank you and it stops. And then you say, now show me the no direction. Show me no, show me no, show me no, show me no. And it starts to move in some other direction. For me, it's counterclockwise. For you, it can be that way and on this way, or combination of those two. All right. When you have your wavelength and your yes and no movement, then you can go proceed with your dowsing. I always say to people and teach the way we were taught. What I teach is use statement statement instead of question. Because when you ask the question, the neurocortex is very busy. It is built to analyze and give the answers. So it's very uneasy situation. It has to, and it's hectic energy. When you say something, it's already said. It's quieter. Your mind is quieter. So if you can turn your every question into the statement, you will be a lot better off. So for example, if I have this pendulum here and I'm on my wavelength, and don't forget, everyone and everything has a wavelength. So if I would like to send energy to Stan, I would have to find Stan's wavelength, not mine, because I have to communicate with his body, not with my body. All right. But for now on, I will work on my wavelength with my questions. So for example, if I would think about my son and I will ask, does he love me? And it says yes, but I can say Tom loves me, and it moves in the same direction because it gives me the confirmation. Or if it would be no, then it would go into my no direction, and it will show me that there is no compatibility between my energy and energy of what I said. All right. So it's either confirmation of your statement or lack of confirmation of your statement. And for example, if I would like to heal my body, then I would say through the frequency of gold, balance my whole energetic system. And you just simply wait until it will stop. And then if I will repeat the same, balance my whole energetic system, it barely moves. And again, balance my whole energetic system, it doesn't move at all. What is going on here is that when I need the energy and I will bring over my hand, which is a receiving point because here is a hand chakra which absorbs the energy, then from this chakra, this vortex opens up and the vortex rotates to the left because it wants to take the energy and bring in me. That vortex is addressed by the movement of the pendulum because it kind of makes the pendulum to move, to follow. So the pendulum reads how this vortex work and start to work in opposite direction to fill the gap. And as I'm giving me or you the energy, the vortex becomes smaller and smaller. And finally, when you are satisfied, which means you have enough for now, it closes. Then it creates, in turn, it creates smaller and smaller movement of energy, of pendulum. And then finally, pendulum stops to rotate because there is no calling for energy. Therefore, there is no energy coming from us. So that's how you work with healing. You can work the same way over the hand of other person. You can work being actually over the organ when you have someone lying on the table. You can work through the picture as a remote dowsing and say, if I would have your picture, I would put it on the table and say, found your wavelength, and say, and I would say, supply Stan with the frequency of gold to the highest possible level for his highest good, right? And it moves because I see you on the screen, so I am connected with you, all right? And as we are talking and exchanging thoughts and ideas, of course, our energy level gets depleted, and therefore we need the energy to come back to the regular level. So you can work remotely, you can work on the spot, you can find answers to your problems, which means, for example, if I would like to work on financial matters, then I would say, that's actually what I do when I come to the show every day in the morning when I come, and you come also earlier, so we know how it is. It's quiet in the room, and I sit there and I clear my table from all the energies which were left there from yesterday. The next step is I would elevate the energy, the level of energy of my booth. So I would supply this booth with the frequency of gold to the highest possible level for the highest good of all concerned in this case. So my client will be happy with the products they purchase, because I don't want people to purchase our products, go and complain. I would like them to maybe buy less, but be happy with them, right? So that would be the next step. And you can do this with everything. And then I would say, okay, so let's see how much money we will make today. And then I go, thousands, yes, no, hundreds, yes, no. And then, so first I would develop the unit, and then let's say thousands, and I would say 1, yes, 2, it still rotates clockwise, 3, and it says no. Then I would drop 1 level less, and I would say 29, no, 28, yes, so 2800, for example, all right? And then if you want lower unit, then you go 1 lower, higher, and then you go, I don't remember how much it was, let's say 28, 28, 10, 28, 20, and so on. This is also my exercise, okay? And then I say this or something better will come my way, because on the other hand, I don't want to limit my brain that's the verdict, and I will not accept anything more, all right? So this type of thing, if you have a medications, you can hold it over first, you hold it over and see, let's say that's the medication, it's a water with lemon, but I can hold it over. Of course, you have to find now the wavelength of this water, and then first of all, what it will show you is how the vortex, what is the vortex which comes out of it, and this one rotates to the right, which means there is a life force in it. If it would rotate to the left, it's artificial. And then I can say, let's count the amount of drops I have to take, if it's a liquid, if it's vitamin D3 or something, and you count 1, 2, 3 until it will say no. So if 8 is no, then you should take 7. Those are the basic usage of pendulums in your everyday life. And as I said, if you will talk to it as you talk to your friend, when you have friendly conversation, let's do it together. Let's heal this person. Let's find out how many drops or how many pills should I take. Show me, or just say he loves me, or it's beneficial for me from the financial point of view to attend this event. You can always state it instead of asking questions.
This has been very, very informative. I'm sure many of our viewers would like to learn more about you, the courses that you give, your product line of dowsing tools and pendulums. Should they, and I know a lot of them would want to contact you, what is your website? And if you want to give your phone number, that's fine too.
Wonderful. So my website is intuitivedowsing.com. Intuitive because it's an intuition element and dowsing. So intuitivedowsing.com. My telephone number is 905-848-1233. We are located in Mississauga, which is outskirts of Toronto in Ontario. So everyone who would like to, I invite you to join us or research our website. We also have a YouTube channel on which I post videos about dowsing and spiritual development, because dowsing is really the excellent tool for spiritual development. It's your best psyche. And what I can say, if you know more about dowsing and you can talk mainstream language, which means people are not checking out because you talk aura and chakra and all this, which people do not understand. But if you understand it and can explain other people in simple word, then I always say that dowsing is contagious. It really, really brings people to wanting know more and using it, because it can be your best friend.
Alicia Aratyn, I thank you for being my guest on Paranormal Yacker and for sharing your extensive knowledge about dowsing. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. And I wish you all great success and peaceful life.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the interview you just watched. So you don't miss any upcoming shows, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love for you to join me and my guests as I yak with them on Paranormal Yacker.